day 5 of the capital murder trial of Hollis Daniels. It's underway at the Lubbock County Courthouse, and today testimony from state witnesses has focused on his initial time in jail after he murdered Texas Tech police officer Floyd East Jr. KCBD News Channel 11's Case Wilbanks joins us live from the courthouse with all the latest. Case.
Yeah, Angie, the day began with some cross-examination by the defense of a Lubbock Police Department homicide detective who was assigned to this case. The defense in cross-examination asked about what they called inconsistent and contrary statements that Daniels made while he was booked into jail. And that was about his mental evaluation when he said he was not suicidal, had no suicidal thoughts, and as well was not mentally ill, when in fact the defense says that he had made suicidal statements, particularly when he asked police to shoot him while he was arrested. Now, District Attorney Stanek then asked the detective about Daniels' behavior when the detective returned to jail in the days after the shooting to obtain his DNA. The detective says he appeared to enjoy the notoriety as people were looking at him in jail. The state then called members of what's known as the Detention Response Team at the Lubbock County Jail to the witness stand. Now, they're assigned to high-risk inmates, and one DRT member says that Daniels multiple times cursed at those officers and as he was allowed to shower the day he was booked. He also testified that Daniels told them, quote, "I hope you get shot too." We heard from the captain of that DRT team who testified about Daniels' high-risk nature. She says she was worried about her staff and ordered Daniels into what's known as three-point restraints, as well as into a violent cell for inmates who are homicidal and suicidal. We also saw a video from the DRT team and their interactions with Daniels in those days after his arrest. The captain says the videos were for jail safety and to document Daniels' treatment. And we do see him tell someone, quote, "I killed a cop." Other videos showed people praying for Daniels, who asked for forgiveness, and another video shows him asking for newspapers about the murder of Officer East. There was also a moment in court today where the judge actually ordered someone out of the gallery, out of the courtroom. She was apparently posting images to social media. That's clearly marked outside the court that is not allowed. The judge was clearly upset and addressed the rest of the court about the issue, hoping that no one else was doing that, and of course everyone said that they weren't. Now, the court has recessed for the day. We expect state arguments, to pick back up on Monday morning at 9 a.m. Angie?
Thank you, Case. We appreciate it. Attorney